BCCI is the richest cricket board. That is something that all of you know. In fact, it is one of the richest sports bodies across the globe. Now, this is a fact very well known. But quite often I come across a lot of people asking me, where does BCCI rank when it comes to various other corporates in terms of its money making? How much money does BCCI actually make on a yearly basis, and what are the kind of profits it makes? And then how do those profit compares to other corporates? And most importantly, there's another question that I get asked very often, is that how is it that BCCI makes the profit that it does? So in this particular video, that's exactly what I'm going to try and explain. But before I get into the explanation, here's a request. Don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for more such content. In fact, press that bell icon and you will get notification every time we come up with some interesting sports related content. Now, let's take a look at BCCI revenues first. Okay, now these are the revenues of BCCI. Revenue meaning I'm combining everything, and these are not profits, these are revenues as in the amount of money coming in into the BCCI coffers. I've taken a period of 2017 to 2022 because that was the data that was available. So if you take a look at it, let's say 2017-18 season, it's 2,900, roughly about 3,000 crore. That's the revenue. It jumps to 7,000 crore in 18-19. If you're wondering why do you see a sudden jump there, because remember, this was the year where both the media rights of IPL as well as the BCCI home matches that was sold in this period. Remember, the IPL media right, if my memory serves me correct, was about 16,000 odd crore that it was sold at. So there is a big jump, and it was about 6,000 odd crore for the BCCI right. So that is why you see a big jump here. That's the revenue of about 7,000 crore. In 2019-20, you see it drops down to about 4,900, about 5,000 crore. 2020-21, it is about 4,735 crore. Again, the revenue around that much. 2021-22, you see again a jump of 7,600 to 6 crore. There are various factors why you see all of this, whether it's going down or going up. I'll try and explain that in the later slides, but for the moment the operative word is in the 5-year period that we've looked at, the revenue of BCCI is about 27,412 crore, and these are authentic kosher figures amounting to about 3.2 billion US dollars. So that's BCCI's revenue, as in the money that's coming, not necessarily their profit, but just a few things also to note here. Many people sometimes quote these kind of figures that, listen, I'm telling you the 5-year profit is 3.2 billion. Many people say that, listen, the brand value of IPL itself is $2 billion, and how is this that you are saying the revenue is 3.2 billion? Remember, that is the brand value of IPL, which is roughly around $2 billion, and brand value is a terminology that you often copy from the corporate world, from the financial world. And that is, if you were to go and sell a company, when you say a company's brand value is XYZ, if you go into the market to sell that company, that's the kind of money that you will attract from the market. So BCCI's brand value of $2 billion, which would now would have increased and will go on increasing, is something that if BCCI were to sell brand IPL to a third party, then it is going to be valued at close to around 2 billion. But the interesting bit is next up, the profits. This is the revenue. But what are BCCI profits? Now, we showed you the revenue as in the money coming in. Here's the calculation. So two things that we have reduced, that is expenditure as in the money that BCCI spends, as well as the tax that BCCI pays. So let's take this year as an example, 2017-18. The revenue was about 3,000 crore. About 2,100 crore was the money that they spent, their expenditure, and about 600 odd crore is what they gave in taxes. So their profit actually for that year was just at 215 crore. That was their profit. Similarly, if you look at 2018-19, it was about 7,000. We said there was a big bump, but their expenditure was also close to 5,000 crores. 815 crore is the amount of tax that they paid. So 1,700 crore was their profit. 1,800 crore for 2019, where they paid about 900 crores in taxes. 2020-21. Their profit is at 809 crore, where they've paid almost 800 crore of taxes to the Indian government. Expenditure is 3,000, and the final year that we're looking at is about 7,000 was their revenue, that money that came in, 3,000 odd crore was the expenditure, about 1,200 crore is what they paid in taxes, but the profit here is pretty big at about 3,000 crore. So if you take a look at the net profit in that 5-year period, it is close to 8,000 crore, which is about $1 billion. Now let me explain a few things to you. Firstly, what are the expenditures you will say that the BCCI has? One of them is, of course, remember, BCCI gets the money and they share that money with the state association. BCCI is essentially made up of various state associations. So it's about 30 odd crore that they give every state association. So all the states in India, 30 crore is given by the BCCI for them to maintain their grounds, for their office expenses and so on and so forth. BCCI expenditure one, as I said, is giving that money to the state association. Other than that, they have overheads, staff that would be employed, that is working for the BCCI, backroom staff, media staff, operational staff, all of that, their salaries come from this. Then you have to pay, say TA and DA for all the BCCI members when they're traveling for the meetings, organizing those meetings. That's another big expenditure. Buying something, bringing that in. Another big expenditure is paying salaries of the players. So Indian players are under contract, their contract has to be paid. Then paying the match fees of those players, and sometimes you only look at match fees and salaries of international players, 30 odd players. No, sometimes you also need to look at the kind of match fees that are paid to the state level athletes. Now you remember there's so many players that must be playing state level cricket, domestic cricket, and not just at the senior level. The BCCI is also incurring expenditure when it goes on to be paid to the under 19 teams, the under 15 teams, and so on and so forth. So a lot of expenditure is what they have to incur. So that expenditure minus the tax that they pay, it amounts to 215. Sometime you would have seen a lot of people talking about much higher profits than this, but those profits are gross profit that sometime it's reported in the media. That what they do is take a look at the revenue minus the expenditure and then say they've made this much profit. Nobody really takes into account the tax. What we've done here is taken the tax also into account, the exact amount of tax that they were paying. So this is the net profit, net what they get, the kind of money that BCCI makes, which goes into their reserves, their monetary reserves. So these are pure absolute profits, net profit that the BCCI is making. As I said, you would see a jump there in 2018. This is down to the two new deals that they did, 16,000 odd crores, which is a big jump from the previous IPL TV deal, and then a big jump of about 6,000 crore for the BCCI deal as well. If you're now wondering why is there such a drop here in 2021, because remember, TV deal money keeps increasing, and also remember the entire money of that deal doesn't come here. The deal may have been done here, but the money doesn't come immediately to the BCCI coffers. It is staggered payment. So if I am a broadcaster and I bought it for 16 or 1,000 crores, I don't pay that money upfront. I pay it yearly. So it gets divided. That's why you see the profit. But why do you see a big dip here? The dip here is because we had the coronavirus at this time, which meant, yes, the BCCI tried and organized the IPL, but if you remember, a lot of bilateral series did not take place, which means if I have bought the rights for bilateral series, then if the matches reduce, I'll pay less money. If I have bought the rights for sponsorship on the jersey, then that is per match. If the matches reduce for India, that will be less money. That is why you see a dip here in this year and incremental increase in the other years. So $1 billion is a 5-year profit for the BCCI. How does that compare to other corporates? I'll bring you those interesting bits a bit later. But for now, the other big question, how is it that BCCI make their profit? That is what I'll try and explain here. So remember, in this period now, the IPL TV plus digital deal is close to 50,000 crores. But the period that we're looking at, 2017 to 2022, the deal was around 16,000 crore. So that's one way that they make their profit. The other is the last deal that they had was about 6,000 crore for the BCCI matches at home, not IPL. All international matches that India play at home, that is sold separately. So at 6,000 crore, that is up for grabs right now. So just as this has seen a major bump from 16,000 to almost 50,000 crores, this is also due to see a big bump. So the profits will definitely go up. The ICC revenue. Now the ICC revenue is, remember, ICC organizes tournaments like T20 World Cup, 50 over World Cup, Champions Trophy, and various other tournaments, WTC. So whatever money that ICC earns from those tournaments, whether it was via ground sponsorship, title sponsorship, television rights that they sell, all of that is also, ICC keeps some amount of money and then distributes the rest. Just as BCCI does to the state association, ICC gives its share of profit to the other member nations. So that BCCI got 2,000 odd crore in that period. It is roughly about $250 million over a period of 5 years. That amounts to 2,000 crores. What's interesting here, just as I said, the TV deals will go up. Now the new deal that BCCI has struck with the ICC, they are going to get $230 million a year. So what they made in 5 years, about 2,000 crores, now BCCI will get in a year about 1,900 crore, almost close to that 2,000 crore mark that they got in 5 years. From here on, from 2022 onwards, the next cycle, BCCI will get a lion's share of the ICC revenue. That's almost 2,000 crore yearly they are set to make. What are the other revenue streams for the BCCI? The IPL title sponsorship. Now, this is at about 1,100 crore that they managed in that period from 17 to 2022. That is the IPL title sponsorship, as in what is the IPL going to be referred as? You know, right now it's called the Tata IPL. So for that, Tata needs to pay. Similarly, in that period, you had the Vivo IPL. Then Dream 11 also came as a sponsor. Then it went back to Vivo. It's now gone to Tata. So various companies came. They paid a different amount at different times. According to my calculation, it went from 50 crore to 450 crore to 200 crore, then back to 440 crore. So it's seen a upside, downside. Remember, Vivo would have continued. They got it for 400 crore, but then in the middle, they had to let go of that sponsorship because, as I said, in 2020, when the coronavirus came, there was a lot of anti-Chinese sentiment in India and people didn't want Chinese companies to be associated. So BCCI then terminated the contract with Vivo, and then you had Dream 11 come on as sponsor. So from IPL title sponsorship, IPL as in Tata IPL, Vivo IPL, if you want that name to be there, they've had to dish out that much. So that's another revenue stream that BCCI gets. Then is the BCCI title sponsorship. That was at 526 crore, much less than the IPL during this period. And that is again for all the series that took place in India. What would be the name of the series? If you remember, a lot of Paytm India versus West Indies, Paytm India versus Sri Lanka. So Paytm then was the sponsor during that time, and that paid about 500 odd crore during that phase to the BCCI from 17 to 2022. So that time it was Paytm. Now it's recently gone from Paytm to MasterCard. That has also switched hand, that sponsorship. The other revenue stream, another major one, is the team sponsorship. This fetched the BCCI about 1,000 crore in that 5-year period, and that team sponsorship, as you know, is that big name that you see on the team jersey, right? It has changed hands. So about 200 crores is what BCCI was getting. So over the 5-year period, you've got 1,000 crores. So remember, Oppo was at one time in 2017, they came on as sponsor. The deal was for 5 years for 2022. The deal did not last because, as I mentioned, just as it happened with Vivo for IPL title sponsorship, even for team sponsorship, that anti-Chinese sentiment, and then Oppo was, that deal was cut short by the BCCI. And then Byju's in 2019 took over. So 17, 18 Oppo was there, 19 then Byju's took over, went on till 2022. Now Byju's is also pulled out, but this was the breakup. So about 1,000 crore you got from that big name, the team sponsorship. The final piece of the puzzle, where do they get their money from, is the kit sponsorship. Now this is not necessarily the title sponsorship, but you will see in the arm sometime, in the leading arm, you will see a name of the kit sponsor. For that, they got about 370 crore over a period of 5 years. That was split between Nike and then MPL. So Nike followed by MPL. Those were the different sponsors over the period of this 5 year, which takes the total revenue to 27,000 odd crore, which I had explained in the first slide, about $3.2 billion. Repeat, this is the revenue, the money that came in, not the profits. Profits I've shown you, it's about close to about 8,000 crore is what BCCI made. So let's now take a look at BCCI's profits compared to some of the big corporate giants that you have, because BCCI by itself is a massive giant. And how does it compare? Let's take a look at the kind of net profit after expenditure, after paying tax. Reliance made 1,79,000 crore in that 5-year period from 17 to 22 is what Reliance got. TCS, Tata Consultancy, you know, they got 1,42,000 crore in that time. And I'm not going in this order. There were various other companies, a lot of banks, SBI, HDFC, they all make a lot more money than Maruti, but I've staggered it just to give you an idea what are the profits over, you know, different sectors. So if Reliance makes close to 2,00,000 crore in profit, TCS is about 1.5 lakh thousand crores, and then Maruti is at 17,000 crore. So and then look at, so which is the company that is roughly around BCCI? I took a company that made almost the kind of profit that BCCI makes, and that's Nestle. Nestle India made about 8,000 crore in that period, and BCCI is around 8,000 mark. Nestle, as you know, makes a lot of chocolates. It makes a very famous product that sells a lot in India. Maggi is made by Nestle. You know, those Polos, the toffees that you eat is made by Nestle. Another product that sells a lot for Nestle is Milkmaid, which is used in a lot of kitchens in India. So those are the food products that Nestle makes. So Nestle makes about 8,000 crores in 5 years, and BCCI, for all the glamour, for all the you know, superstars that play this sport, the profit is around 8,000 crore. It's very tough to compare you know, BCCI's earnings with any other sport. I'll tell you why. Because most other sport are you can look at the earning of, let's say, an English Premier League, or let's say an NBA, and so on and so forth, but those are private leagues. So the fair comparison wouldn't be to measure BCCI's earning with those leagues. The fair comparison would be IPL's earning versus NBA or English Premier League, La Liga, and so on and so forth. So when you're looking at BCCI, there is no other example as such. You can't look at a Argentinian Football Association, because they don't own a league like that, and doesn't make that kind of profit. So that is why we've not tried to compare BCCI with other sports, because you know, those sports are organized and run very differently. But in cricketing terms, they are clearly number one. There's no comparison, which is why we tried to compare them with some other big corporate giants. I hope this was informative. You got to know how the BCCI makes their money, how much money do they make, how much taxes do they end up paying. For more such content, don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today, and do give us a like on this video if you enjoyed the content, and do share it with other friends that would want to you know, consume this sort of content. For the moment, this is Nikhil Nas signing off.